Welcome to a new series on my YouTube channel in which I want to take deep dives into my record collection. Not only deep dives on forgotten classics from records I used to play back in the day at raves, but also deep dives into my emotional attachment with these records, memories of like people I met whilst playing these tunes, memories of the label owners, memories of the producers, memories of DJs playing these records, memories of what record shops I brought them from, or what dub plate cutting house I cut them at, or what event a DJ passed the record over to me, or the producer passed the record over to me. And to start the series, I want to play something that's packed full of emotion then and full of emotion now. The King and I present Andre Leon, The Truth, which was written by El Ingram, produced by the King and I. It was on Reaching Records, which was Dave Pearce's label, and it was engineered by Roger Johnson. Now, the reason why this track has so much significance to me over the 35 years of my DJ career in the rave scene is in 85, 86, 87, 88, Dave Pearce and Roger Johnson were absolute gods to me, inspirations to me. Like, I'd lock into them on Monday on Night FM, fresh start to the week. Roger would then play on Fridays on Night FM. Mondays was a hip-hop show where Dave would present. Roger would do all the mixing and scratching. Friday nights, Roger would play lots of what was the dance music then, whether it was soul, funk, early house music. I'm talking like 85 through to 88, 89, and I used to just listen to Roger and Dave, an absolute marvel over them. Sadly, we lost Roger a few years ago, and Roger was always one of my biggest inspirations, my biggest heroes. And of note, he was the first person to win the DMC championships in 1985. If you go to the DMC pages, you will type in Roger Johnson DMC 1985, and there's Roger's winning mix. And at the turn of like the house scene, the rave scene, Roger was resident DJ at Berwick Manor, and Roger Johnson was one of the first DJs I ever hero worshipped. Like, we went down to Berwick Manor and I was just leaning over the decks 89, 90 times. Really, really young, and going, Roger, I've been following you since Night FM. And fast forward to 1991, me and Roger become resident DJs together at Labyrinth, 2000 AD, Desire. And I remember being like 16, 17, resident DJ with Roger Johnson. And I often look back on that time and just think, wow, I was literally living the dream. And this track here that Roger engineered is a real forgotten, for me, it's a forgotten, sought after bleeps and bass gem with so much soul. Fast forward to the early noughties, some 10 years after this, I started working with Dave. Dave was working for, I think it was BMG. Dave was working for. He had a label called, I think it was New Life. Sorry, Dave, if I've got that wrong. It was New Life. And we used to have our hard house trance label, me and John Doe, and Dave would regularly call us up and ask for remixes and ask us what music we've got about. And I've stayed friends with Dave ever since then. Also, like I say, we sadly lost Roger a few years ago. Unbeknown to me and Roger, Roger's son worked for my brother on his market store. Me and Roger never knew that. And my brother phoned me one day and went, I've got a lad who works on my stall who's saying his dad's Roger Johnson and knows you. And there was just all these like coincidence in my relationship with Roger, which was quite sporadic at points over the years. You know, in the early days, glued to the radio, then the early 90s, being a resident DJ with him. Then as music split and Roger went into different directions and Dave went into different directions. But I always stayed in touch, and it was just mind-blowing when we both found out that Roger's son worked for my brother. And the reason why this has such significance for me, this pressing of Andre Leon, The Truth, The King and I, a track Roger engineered and produced, and why I want to make it the first in the series, is 2 weeks after Roger sadly passed away, and me and Sonia had been to the funeral. Every other day I go out to charity shops, record shopping, and looking around in the record boxes in charity shops to see if they've had anything new in. And about 2 weeks after Roger had passed, where he lived, there was a charity shop just underneath where he lived in his flat. And I was going through the records, and this come out, this track, which I'd already owned. I own 2 copies now, and I was going through it, and I like was just like a wave of like, I don't know whether you'd call it spirituality or whether it was meant to be, but I was just like, Sonia, the lady in the shop was like, what is wrong with this man? Like my wave of excitement, but also sadness, but also like the spirituality of the moment. The lady said, why? I've never seen someone so like excited by a record, but also like intrigued. I was saying to her, where did you get it from? She said, what? Like, why is this record so important to you? I said, the man who engineered this, he used to live above this charity shop. I said, who brought it in? She went, no, just you know, we get our deliveries around to Oxfam, and this was in the records that was dropped off last week. And yeah, this particular copy I picked up in a charity shop below where Roger lived a few weeks after his funeral, and it's just really poignant for me. It means so much because the track was also in my first ever sets at Labyrinth 2000 AD, in which I then become a resident with Roger after he'd been like literally one of my heroes from like the mid 80s. I'm going to play you the track in its entirety. If you don't know it, please track it down. It's got. I'm going to play you the vocal mix because I think the vocal mix combined with the bass, the bleeps, the memories of 1990 has such a soul and spirit to it. It also has an instrumental dub on it, so you get all the bleeps and the bass in all their glory. But this is a magical record for me, and this particular press holds real importance to me. Also, I dug these out for Roger's absolute significance to me. Hip Hop 17, which he mixed at the same time. He was on Night FM like 87 times, and Hip Hop 18. I had to give them notable shouts. Anyone who used to follow the hip hop scene in the mid to late 80s would know how important Roger Johnson was in that era, and how important and unsung and pioneering and just incredibly was at the turn of the rave scene. This, The King and I, presents Andre Leon, The Truth, on Dave Pearce's Reaching label, engineered, produced by Roger Johnson, R.I.P., one of my absolute heroes, and this is worthy of our first Digging Deep sessions. Check this. The memories just come flooding back in such a nostalgic, inspiring way. Just the way and where I acquired this copy is just, it's quite emotional, to be fair. And Roger just lived down the road from us, and during COVID, me and Sonia would often go and sit and talk with him for hours outside. Remembering dropping this for the first time. There's just that period when the hardcore and jungle were far, they was far away in the distance at this point, early 1990, summer of 90. Of course we had signs of hardcore and signs of jungle, but we didn't have it as we know it. And there's just so much like soul and depth in this track. And it's that whole period where in London, and there really wasn't many like weekly clubs, and it had come out of that whole Summer of Love warehouse and field scene, and the press and the police and politicians, etc., said that this music wouldn't last, and ultimately it did. And this moment in 1990 was magic. Is in my mind, so wide love, so hard to find the truth. R.I.P. Roger Johnson, pioneer, a visionary. Like I say, the first person to win the DMC Championship, was right there in that crossover into Rave. Just a hero of mine, and someone the world who, if you don't know who he is, go and check out his history. Roger Johnson, The King and I, Andre Leon, The Truth, absolute tune. Dig it out.